Hey, go live, go live, go live. Happy Monday morning. This is Khalid Nathan Aleem. And today we are going to be talking. Well, let me introduce myself, Khalid Nathan Aleem. I'm a realtor, I'm a property manager, and I am also an investor. So today we're going to talk about things to avoid when flipping real estate. I know flipping real estate is the big craze. Everybody wants to flip real estate. We're watching HGTV, and you got billions of people on there that are flipping houses. You got a guy works at a hot dog stand, and the wife, she's a homemaker, and their budget is $1 million. How? I don't know. But everybody's looking at this and they like, hey, I want to get into flipping. I want to get into investing in real estate. So this seems to be the crazy hot fad, and you can make a lot of money at flipping homes. But I'm going to teach you today the things that you should avoid when flipping real estate, okay? So the first one is do not fail to have a qualified inspection of the property before any money changes hand. If you don't have any idea of the types of work that needs to be done, then you can't possibly make an educated estimate of the costs involved in rehabbing the home. So if you don't have any inspection experience, you need to get a qualified inspector. So, for example, there's a home that you want to flip, and you go in there. If you don't have any idea of what's wrong in the property, then how are you going to have an idea of what it costs to fix? So until you get to that point, you're going to either need a general contractor to go in that property with you, or you can also get an inspector. You can hire a qualified inspector. Now you want to kind of do this at a fast clip, because inspectors do. If you get a qualified inspector, it's going to run you about $400 or $500 as far as him to go in and inspect the property and tell you what's wrong with it. If you get a general contractor, you can pay him, or if you get a general contractor and your understanding is that that you're going to use him after, then you may get away with not paying him. But if I have a general contractor go in a property or a rehab and I want an estimate from him, or they call it a scope of work, I usually pay them, because I want them to really concentrate and I want them just to do that for me. And I don't want to be handcuffed to using that general contractor. So I usually pay them. So the first one is, again, if you're going inside a house and you want to flip and you don't know what you're doing, then you really need to take somebody qualified with you, okay? That's the first one. Number two is do not underestimate the budget for repairs on a flip. This is one of the most common mistakes that even seasoned professionals make, and it can mean the difference between a profit and a loss on a property if you aren't careful and do not stick to the plant budget. So this happens over and over and over. During a plant, when you go to flip a home, you need to try to stay on budget as much as possible. What I usually tell people is to kind of factor in maybe 10 or 15% of contingencies, because what happens is a contractor will come through and they'll say, okay, yeah, that needs to be fixed, this needs to be fixed, this needs to be fixed, and this is the cost. But then when they start opening stuff up, here comes the change orders. For those of you who don't know, change orders is when a contractor gives you a certain price, but then once he starts working, he finds other things wrong. So now he has to change what he originally said that he was going to do. So again, it's called a change order. So you really want to make sure that you don't underestimate your budget, okay? Number three, do not overestimate your abilities. This is another common mistake. The fact that you've seen something done on television doesn't mean that it is something that you can do on your own. It costs more money and time to have someone come in and repair your mistakes than to have had a professional do the work from the beginning. This doesn't mean that you can't learn how to do some of the work, or that it wouldn't be cost effective. The trick lies in determining where your skills and abilities can really take you, rather than for you to hope they will take you to certain places. Plumbing, electrical, instruction work are generally best left to the professionals unless you have a specific experience or training in that field. So again, don't overestimate your abilities. You may have done some little knick-knack stuff in your home, but don't say, okay, I can put up this sheetrock because I seen this on YouTube last week. Or don't say, oh, well, you know what? I seen somebody put down floors once or twice. I can probably put down the floors. Now, again, that doesn't mean that you can't learn to do these things. Doesn't mean that. But the first time, second time, third time, you really want to leave that to the professional. You really want to leave that to them. And again, that doesn't mean that you can't learn to do these things. What I do a lot of times is when I hire a contract, I'm like, hey, I want you to do this, but understand, I want you to teach me also so I can do it. Now, listen, I'm not trying to be a general contractor, or I'm not trying to be a, I don't know, put in walls or stuff like that, but I want to know, have a working knowledge of what's going on and what to do. Okay. Number 4, do not fail to hold yourself accountable to your timetable and your budget. Real estate investing puts you in the boss's seat. And while this is often simple, you often have a bit of difficulty. Okay, so what this is saying here is that if you're the boss, usually you're lighter on yourself as far as the timetable. So if you have a timetable, make sure you stick with it. But when you're doing your own flips, what happens a lot of times is you take it easy on yourself and you miss deadlines. Now, if you had somebody else doing this, you wouldn't miss the deadline. But because it's you, then you let yourself go. So make sure whatever deadlines you have and what timetables that you have, make sure that you stick to them, okay? Let's move on. Number 6, avoid having too many chiefs on a project. If this is your ball game, then you need to run it rather than 10 people giving contradictory orders. Schedule meetings regularly and discuss progress and any adjustments or changes that need to be made. So again, you're the head honcho when you're flipping the home, but you're going to have a bunch of smaller honchos. Because if you're not doing the work, now you have the general contractor. Then that general contractor usually has subs underneath him. So you don't want to come in and say, hey, I want this done. Or you have the roof, but the roof guy needs to coordinate with the electrician, or the plumber needs to coordinate with us. So you're the big chief, but you have a bunch of small chiefs. What you want to make sure is that everybody is on the same page. One of the best ways to do that is to have plans drawn out and make sure those plans stay at the property so everybody is on the same page, and you can always point them to those plans. Again, the best way to do this is to have plans drawn up of the work and make sure that those plans stay in a specific place at the work site. So if anybody has any questions on what they need to do, they go towards that plan. Also, there's an order, the way that things need to be done. This needs to be done after this. This needs to be done after this. You really need to get a hold of one of those. I think I do have a rehab schedule. So if you do want one, just reach out to me. But you really need to find out, okay, if this is your first or second time doing a flip, okay, this comes after this, comes after this, comes after this, comes after this. All right. Let's see what we have. This is the last one. Avoid poor planning. This is one step that is the difference for many would-be home flippers between success and failure. Plan out every step of the project in an order that makes sense. You do not want to paint the ceilings or walls after you've installed new floors, nor do you want to rip out walls in order to replace plumbing after you've painted them. Plan things out in a proper order and allow a day or two between subsequent projects in case extra time is needed. The last thing that you want to do is pay a group of contractors to stand around waiting for paint to dry so they can begin the next step in the process. And this makes total sense. And this comes back to what I kind of just said. You want to plan everything out. This after this after this after this. You don't want to have them. You don't want to have them come in, do the sheetrock, paint the sheetrock, but you still didn't do plumbing. So now you got to get through there to do plumbing. So those are 7 things, okay? 7 things that you need to avoid when flipping a home. If you just came in, go back, rewind this, go back and find out what those are. But these are things that you need to look out for if you're going to flip a home. All right, y'all. Wanted to hit y'all with this in the morning. This is Khalid Nathan Aleem. If you're looking to buy a home, if you're looking to buy a home, sell a home, or invest in real estate, I got you. Take care.